So whenever you want a homestead, there's going to be people that are going to have their own opinion. And hey, I want a homestead, but my family thinks I'm crazy.
The topic of the day.
Yeah. So welcome you guys to our live stream today. We want to be able to talk about all of the things that we went through a little bit whenever we were going from suburbia to our homestead. And we get this a whole lot of, I want to do what the Brothertons and the Rhodes and the Hollers, everybody wants the homestead, but their family is not exactly supportive. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, and then letting you ask
I think
as
even
many
the broader
questions.
scope of that too is maybe I think I'm crazy. Maybe my friends think I'm crazy. And usually that's going to come from a couple of places. You don't see someone else doing what you're doing right around you. And that's probably because you want to make this major radical life shift. So the life that you have right now is not going to carry over into the new life that you have. So if that's you, we want to know, come on to this in the chat and let us know where you are on this homestead idea. Do you just like to watch homesteaders because it's very, very cool to see someone raise animals and you live a totally different lifestyle? Are you somebody who is watching and you've been watching for a hot minute, thinking like we were about 5-7 years ago, what does it look like for us to do this homestead thing? Or you might be someone who's watching and you're already homesteading and you just want to know what it's like for other people to create more confidence in their own homestead space. And are there any ways for you to do the same thing in your own way on your homestead? So maybe you're homesteading already, you're thinking about doing it, or you really just like watching homesteaders. Either way, we want to know from you, because that's going to help us talk through today the things that are most important to you. If you're coming on a live stream and you're dropping your name, like I see Anne here and Jules and CJ, we love that you guys are here. But if you're giving your time, it's probably because you want to pick up some things that you can apply to your life. And the actual secret sauce here is that what we're going to talk about applies to all life changes. This is not just if you want a homestead. This is, how do you make this mental shift into the life that you're wanting that looks very different from the life that you have right now? So yay, I see people jumping in. That's so great.
How's that lemon water?
I love both making fun of me because it's like
I'm like dead radio, dead silence. No, you can't. You gotta tell me. Okay.
I'm really comfortable with silence.
She does like awkward silence. It is not my thing.
Every Brotherton I've ever met feels silence.
Yeah, we don't do that. Okay, so real quick, this live stream is brought to you by United Portable Buildings. United Portable Buildings, they make awesome sheds. We don't live in a United Portable Building in our main house, and it proves the fact that this studio that is a United Portable Building is so much better build. It's better build quality. It's better customer service. I was on a live stream with this awesome lady that wants to make this tiny house.
Yeah, village.
Like
50
village
houses.
And just the customer service of just supporting her and getting excited for her vision of wanting to do this. It's super cool. So we love United Portable Buildings. I'll put a link in the chat here in a bit so that you can build your own shed and you can find out how much it costs. Okay. You ready to jump in?
Yeah, so we've had COVID for the last 2 weeks. It's been somebody in our house has had it. We've had it before. We've got it again. I'm sure we'll have it in the future. So if I tug on my ear while we're talking, it's because my ear has been so plugged for 2 years and I'm just trying to hear.
2 years?
2 years is what it feels like. It's been 2 weeks. But I'm just trying to hear myself as we talk. So here are some of the things that I think could be helpful. If I were talking to the us of 7 years ago, and I will say this, guys, we didn't have, it's so funny how quick the internet moves, but we didn't have what you guys have right now. We did not have YouTubers engaging in these live conversations. We had Justin Rhodes on Periscope. where like he would just like drop in, you'd get an alert on your phone, you're like, oh, what's Justin doing? And you'd like participate
He's turning the
in
compost
whatever
with
he
his
was doing
chickens.
that day. So there is absolutely so much on the internet that's available to you. However, in my own experience, that can be overwhelming. It can be overwhelming to have all of the world at your fingertips. I don't know if you've ever felt that way, but I absolutely have. So there's this moment when you first think like, could I do this? When you first ask yourself that question, could we homestead? You all have the same access to the same internet, Google, DuckDuckGo, whatever you use. And then at some point along that like deep dive into somebody's rabbit journey, you actually have the question that you ask, could I do this? And I think for that person, the same way the internet can be overwhelming to open up a search and have all the options at your fingertips, could I do that opens a door to a flood of questions that all of a sudden feels really isolating. I think it can feel oddly lonely in a sea of online homesteaders for someone who's just dreaming about this. So, have you guys ever felt lonely in this? Let us know in the comments. I think Justin, we've talked about this. Justin has said this a lot really accurately, even in our, thousands of miles away in Texas, that homesteading itself can feel really isolating. Like,
Sure.
we have to be back for the cow. We've got chores to do. There's no days off. And sometimes you have to tell your family like, oh yeah, I'll come home for Thanksgiving. I'll come home for Christmas. But you're going to be the one who comes later and leaves earlier.
Well, it's so much so that so it's talking about loneliness, things in the fall are coming up, and that's a long time. That's like 6 months from now.
Yeah.
Events that we want to be able to do. In our brain, we have to think, okay, when is Goldie going to calf? Because we can't
just be gone.
I can't be gone.
Yeah.
Maybe you can, maybe.
But probably not.
But for multiple reasons. One, just for the health of the animal and for video content.
Doing it our first
time
and
together. That's the secondary. It's just like, you got to be there for the animal. All of those things. Piglets being born. You're like, it's a little bit easier, but you kind of have to really. I think there was a thought in terms of loneliness. Whenever I was in theater in high school, we had like T-shirts that said, "No, sorry, I can't. I have rehearsal." You kind of have that as an adult homesteader a little bit, like, "No, sorry, I can't. I got to take care of my animals." And you don't want it to be that prison.
Well, especially when you're the only one, and I think that's the topic today. Like, when you are the Lone Ranger, you are the only one in your circle. You're the only one in your friend group, your family. You're the first one doing this radically different thing. So I think that's certainly true as the homesteader itself. But what about the dreamers who want to do this thing? What is it like to be you? What is it like to be you in your suburban house or your apartment in the city? And you're like, am I nuts to totally think like, what if I want to do this? And you start to ask that question, the flood of thoughts comes in, and usually it's full of a lot of doubts. So I love the internet because it's going to show us, this looks different for everyone. So,
but that was us.
Yeah. Saying, could we?
Both of our parents thought that we were crazy.
Absolutely.
I love y'all if y'all are watching this, our parents, but they thought that we were crazy. They both tried to talk us out of it. Like legit. Yeah. So there were conversations where they said, "Hey, let's sit down.
Sure about this?
Are you sure? Like, I want to be able to like talk to you."
I remember sitting with my parents in our Katie house, and we'd already worked out the shed to house plans. We were ready to list our house. We were ready to make this move. We'd purchased our property, and I was telling my mom, I was telling my mom about this at our kitchen table. And I said, Bo's folks are really concerned. Like, they've shared with us that they don't know if this is a good idea, and they've like told us how concerned they are. And my mom goes, well, we are too. And I was like, well, you haven't said anything yet.
Well, different personalities for sure.
But even the people that are closest to us weren't wishing for us to be unsuccessful, but they absolutely had their opinions, some voiced, some not, about whether or not this was a good idea.
So your dad was once, Kelly's dad is a big golfer, retired, and just loves to golf every single day. And so we lived at their house, which we were so grateful for that because it was just amazing and fun and just a huge help. But I remember he once saying, like, he was golfing and he was telling his golf buddies of what we're doing. And I remember that one of his friends, I'm pretty sure that they said this, was they said, well, Stan, how did you let them do that? Like, why did you let them do this crazy thing? It's just very.
And he's like, they're grown-ups.
I know.
And thankfully we have parents who have said like, hey, you're adults, we've got your back. Mm-hmm. But there will be certainly some of the ownership, Kelly and Bo, that you guys are going to have to take and feel the consequence of. And I think that's adulthood. I think that's childhood. I think that's a sign of good leadership when you can let your kids go do their own thing and be supportive, but not, you don't have to agree with everything they want to do. And I do think that that's the isolating part when you want to be a homesteader, when you want this more sustainable life, this life of slower pace, not less work, but different work. And there are one-liners across the world that are so good to apply here. And my favorite is, everything is hard. So choose your hard. Why are you letting people in your life determine the path of hardship that you'll take? Doesn't mean there isn't joy and all the cheerleading that I ever won in our life between the two of us. I'm going to be the one who's looking like, we can do anything. This is possible. All of this is so good. But in the city, before you take this leap, those are the voices you're going to hear. This is hard. Are you sure you really want to take this on? And my first encouragement is that when you are dreaming of this, recognizing the mindset shift being the most important, biggest boulder to move in your path to the homestead is critical. If you think it's just, oh, I don't know how to garden, or I'm going to learn to garden, or I'm going to learn to raise animals. Everyone can learn to raise animals. And you haven't done this very critical work of saying, oh no, we have to shift our mindset to say that we can do this. And all of these things are going to be possible. But our life here is done. Like, we need to make a shift in not only how we think, but how we do. And in order to be successful on the homestead, or to even get off of your city life into a property where you're going to be solely responsible for the stewardship, that mindset is absolutely critical to have on the front end. So here are some things.
Well, I'm going to interrupt real quick. So Kelly, I don't know if you've numbered these. Kelly, we teach like differently. I'm like super numbered. So before you jump in, what you're saying, what I hear, what you just said, I'm going to put it in the chat. Kelly and I talked about this. A lot of y'all have watched this show. Your first thing, so that if you have family that thinks that you're crazy, your first thing to do is to make sure, like, it is a no negotiate, like there is not an option. You are not allowed to even be qualified to be on Homestead Rescue.
Yeah. Make it your aim to never be on this show.
Like, no, it's not cool to be on this show. It is not a failure to be, and we like the show, and we've met Marty Rainey, and we have even talked with like some of the casting people. It is a blessing for that casting guy to say, hey, Bo and Kelly, I know that y'all's homestead doesn't fit the show because you have it. You don't need rescue.
Because we're not needing to be rescued.
That's number one. You never want to be on Homestead Rescue. If your family is thinking that you're crazy, you do all the foundational things first. Okay.
If you're already there.
Yeah.
And honestly, we've walked through a lot of conversations about, are we going to sign up to do a show with a network, right? So this was us in 2020. We were approached by a couple different shows saying, Bo and Kelly, do you guys want to take on this homestead show on our channel, on our network? It didn't go anywhere.
They totally copied Homestead Rescue. It made no sense. It's annoying. It was bizarre.
So this was the season that we were in where homesteading was getting some recognition in a mainstream context. So what you're seeing now is absolutely the explosion of the internet. It can create some really scary kind of comparison things. Like, we assume that you're going to have to move into a place that's going to have a working farm on it already. I want to pause that and just explode the code and show you that so many people are homesteading in so many different ways that there's no prescription for that. But in the time where shows were trying to say, hey, can you guys host so that you can be like a face for people watching cable to get into this? And there were a lot of conversations that we had. And the number one thing was like, hey, we never want to have to be rescued. Well, fast forward to 2023, that same casting director came to us and said, I'm now working with Homestead Rescue. Brothertons, you don't need this, but would you share that we're casting people for this next season of Homestead Rescue because your audience might be the people who do need that support? If you are there, there is no shame. Get the support, because I don't think that people are too far gone to get things in order. But I will tell you, from our experience and dear friends who are doing this exact same thing, getting your ducks in a row so that when everything flies out the window, when everything goes awry, you can come back to this solid foundation that Bo is talking about is so, so helpful. But I think we're getting ahead of ourselves with the mindset, because to have your mind as at the forefront, knowing that we're going to make this life shift, it's actually going to happen, I think, is the bigger leap than all of the skills that you're going to learn along the way. And you're going to learn them at a steady pace. And if you can do it in community, I think that's the secret sauce to all of the success that you're going to have on your homestead. I think there's some simple things that are not in order, but just helpful to know. So some of them, like in mindset, are, when was the last thing you did something for the very first time? And I want to ask you that, because we're on 7 acres in Central Texas. And there were certainly things that you did for the first time when we were in our Houston suburb house. But like today, 2020, Bo, when was the last time?
2023.
23.
I don't want to say it.
Did something. Oh, go ahead.
Because it's the sad thing. I castrated pigs, and there's still a story.
And there's still a story to tell about that.
I don't want to talk about it right now.
Okay. So some things went good with it, some things went hard with it. But I think the truth is, that's the reality. That's what you just did last week. Then before that, we sold our milk cow. Mm-hmm. And before that, we got a milk cow. So there's a constancy that I think is or a consistency across every homestead channel you're ever going to watch. All of these people are doing things for the first time ever. And it doesn't mean that you just try a new thing and you stop, but you learn, is this valuable? Will we ever castrate again? The answer is yes. So that won't be a new thing next time, but there will be something else we've learned along the way. And so each step of mistake and success, if you're only looking for success and you're not willing to try new things and fail at them, that's something to cultivate in your mindset. Like, do something new this week. Do a skill that you have never tried before, even if it's small. Like, my favorite small skill that you ever did before we left the city was learn to fix our disposal. I know that's so silly, but until that moment, Bo had never fixed a thing in our house, like light bulbs, small things, but like an actual appliance had never been repaired at home.
You just stick a Allen wrench underneath it and you turn it.
And it works.
There's more things that I fixed besides that.
But think about it, like before
I fixed a PVC pipe on the irrigation of our suburban home. But yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be able to do that, to
Do
take a
something for
risk
the
and try
first
it.
time ever. And if you haven't done that, like some of you guys here are already on your homestead. So what's something you've done in the last week or the last month that you'd never done before? Totally drop that in the comments, because you're going to help somebody else who's just scrolling through, even in the replay, and they're going to say, oh yeah, that's something I have never done and I'd love to try. So some things we'd never done before that we've done is freeze drying food. We had never freeze dried to preserve anything before. And now I'm so thankful for it, because even today I was thinking, should I freeze dry the extra eggs we have, or should I water glass them? I've never water glassed before. So I'm going to do that with our extra eggs.
What's water glass?
It's this like gallon size or 5-gallon size bucket. And you're mixing chemicals and water. So like I think it's
Chemicals?
Yeah, like a preservative chemical, like lime or calcium chloride actually might be it. I'm not sure. So I'm gonna try my hand at this new skill of preserving eggs in a new way, because I've already frozen them. I've already freeze dried them. I love the freeze dried powder. We've even camped and like rehydrated them. They're fantastic. But that's something new that we've done. The animals obviously are a big thing that we've done new. I'm always
Freeze dried eggs is fantastic for dogs.
Yeah, that was a really good way.
It comes in handy whenever you run out of dog food.
We have, or if your dog has an upset stomach, which Rottweilers always have upset stomachs.
Yeah.
So it's been really helpful for us.
Hey, real quick, if you have any questions, put them in the chat, all caps, so I can see it, but we'll probably see all of them.
Yep. And in the next year, we're going to be doing growing our garden for animal feed. That's the first time we've ever done it. We've always given them a little excess, but on purpose this year, we're growing extra food, even things that we don't love to eat, because they grow well really easily in our area, very little effort. And that's the first time that we've ever done it this way. So this idea of taking the big ship of I want to get out of the city into the homestead and just focusing on one new thing this week. What is the new thing that you can do that you've never done before? And if you're looking at this and saying, oh, Kelly and Bo asked me, when was the last time I did something for the first time? And you can't think of something, now's the time. Go to the library, get a book. That kind of segues on to the next thing is, if you are taking these simple first steps of interrupting your daily habits, some of you are listening to this and you're 40 and 50 years old, and you have cultivated habits over those 40 and 50 years. Those habits are going to continue to produce the results that you have right now. But if you want a life shift, you've got to shift those habits. So start to interrupt those daily habits that will put you on a path toward your homestead. This can look really, really, really simple. So the skills that Bo was talking about, like, yeah, I've fixed my sprinkler. I have removed my dependency in small steps from someone else outsourcing the work that I need to do in my own home, whether that's your apartment or your actual house. So looking at those small interruptions could just be like, are you cooking your meals? If you DoorDash all your meals, if you are consistently running through the drive-through, put aside any kind of like healthy thing, right? Just focus down on like, do I have the skill of cooking? Do I have the skill of shopping? Y'all, aside from Costco, I have not been in a grocery store alone. I've been in the Walmarts, I've been in the Targets. I have not been in the grocery store shopping in years. Georgia has never been in the grocery store shopping outside of like a store we could also buy underwear at. So like, yes, I am at the stage of life where I buy my underwear and my applesauce at the same location. But like, our local stores in HEB, if you've got a Kroger, if you've got a Randall's or whatever, an Albertsons, like, do you go into the store and do you touch produce and do you pick it yourself? Or do you do it all online and they bring it out to your car? Lots of convenience, not knocking it. I do this all the time. But this is a skill. Like if you only shop online, maybe try going into the store and picking your produce out. This would be an interruption to the habits that you've created that you've outsourced all of this work. It's so bizarre. But we're talking about the connectedness of the internet, which is a beautiful thing. But if it is the current that you flow in and it keeps you from putting your hands to actual tangible things, if you've never squeezed a lemon into your water and you only buy lemon flavored sparkling water, let's go get a lemon into your water. Like, just interrupt with a small thing. But we want this big, major, dramatic movie moment. I have a child who lives in movie moments. You have these big, major, dramatic movie moments. That is not the sum of your life. So you've got, if you want to make that shift to your homestead from where you are right now, begin to interrupt these little habits, because this is the loop on repeat in your brain is, I wake up, I go to work, I do the things, I come home, I eat food, I go to bed. Then I wake up, I do the work, I do the things, I go home, I eat, I go to bed. Like, interrupt yourself.
So what was number 2? Learn to cook?
No, number 2 is interrupt your daily habits so that you are changing your path. So if your path is this regular repeat, you need to disrupt your regular habits, your daily thoughts, so that it's moving toward your homestead. If you don't go out on a walk every single day, do that. This is a small step that moves you in the direction of your homestead.
And I don't understand that. Interrupt your daily habits.
Yeah. So
what does that mean?
If your habits have you in your home, you wake up every morning, you drink coffee.
Okay.
You get in your car, you go to work.
Yeah.
You take a break for lunch, you go back to your desk.
Sure.
You go home.
Sure.
You sit in front of Netflix, YouTube, you watch everyone else do their homestead things.
Sure.
And then you live for the weekends. Well, most people are going to be like, okay, here's your big shift. You're going to take on a side gig so that you can make more money so that you can get on your homestead. Absolutely do that. We teach you that in our course. We talk about how to create income so that you can work from your homestead. But if you've neglected the mindset of every small habit counts, every small habit that I make outside of my regular suburban city life, then those small habits absolutely add up. What if you spent the next 20 days going on a walk every single day and looking at how this one tree outside of your house changes? It sounds stupid, except when you focus on the mindset. Because you want to acquire all these skills, but honey, if you haven't spent any time thinking through how your life is going to shift, you're going to miss, and you're going to carry it with you to the homestead, and then you're going to have to relearn it there anyways. So start now. Become an observer of the world around you. Like, we walk outside on our property every single day just to see, what is the sun doing in different seasons? What is the land doing when it rains? Where do we need to put certain animals in different times of year so that the property is getting cultivated in the right kind of direction? That started in our city. That started in walking around our block. That started in collecting pine cones and making stupid crafts out of them. That started in recognizing that some years pine cones dropped and other years they didn't. So if you're not connected to the world around you, then you're going to miss out on how to live in a connected way on your homestead, where it's not just easy to jump back into your daily routine. So start to interrupt these habits in your suburban life by just going on a walk, by just cooking your own meals, by just cultivating some sort of skill, even as small as it could be. Like,
so what does that do for your family that thinks that you're crazy?
It lets you separate from whether their opinions matter or not.
Okay.
Because somebody's opinion who isn't doing what you want to do really doesn't matter.
So that's more about
continue.
So that's more about yourself not trying to ease their opinion of you. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, I would say that. I think any of our friends that are doing what we do, homesteading, absolutely let go, not severed relationships. That's stupid. Don't cancel people who love you. But you don't need their approval for your success.
Okay.
You absolutely need your approval for your success. You absolutely need your belief that you're going to be able to do this successfully. And then they'll come with you.
Okay.
So definitely stick to the things that are going to push you in the direction you're going, and not just go with the flow, because that's going to keep you right where you're at.
All right. What's next?
How would you connect with people if you're feeling isolated, right?
I
Living
don't
in the
connect with
city.
people. I'm a hermit, and I've designed my life, and we were very, very blessed that my non-hermit extroverted wife found community in our little space.
But that's once we moved. You did do things before we moved. When we were in the city, you went to conferences. When we were in the city,
Sure.
you went to farmers markets. When we were in the city, you found
Okay.
plant sales. So you
Sure.
did drive a ton of this.
Okay.
Even though, even to this day, we are the only friends that we know from our group in Katy before we moved that have moved toward any kind of like living on property and cultivating their gardens with purpose and intention as a lifestyle.
From suburbia?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that's
Well,
the isolation is you
and
don't see anyone doing what you're doing.
and of our friends here, we kind of do it a little bit slightly more intense of like, you know, we were the first.
Sure, 'cause
Nobody
no one's
around
looked
us
like it.
castrates pigs. They raise, you know, cattle.
We have friends who are ranchers.
Yeah.
But that's because no one's life is going to look like yours.
For
But
sure.
in the city, most of you are going to be like us. You're going to be the first ones wanting to do the thing that you don't see anyone else doing in your
Okay.
real life. You see everyone online, but in your real life, that circle's kind of small because it might be your church, it might be your neighborhood. And if your neighborhood doesn't even allow chickens, you're probably not going to know a lot of people who raise chickens. So how do you step outside of that and connect with people in real life who are doing what you want to do?
Are you asking me or them?
I'm asking you because you did some of that.
I don't know. You know, and this is like, it
Mhm.
is. I'm more like,
Someone asked if
how, like,
pre-
what are the steps that you do? Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Like,
yeah.
and I'm trying. It's.
Bo doesn't do good without a map. Okay,
Yeah.
someone just asked in the comments, are we pre-recorded or are we really live? Well, we're
We're-
interrupting each other, so I'll let you know that we're 100% live right now.
No, we are. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm trying to think of how did I connect with people to be. I was not happy with what was going on, and we had to do some things to be able to, like, I was running away from suburbia. I was
Mhm.
running away from that life of, I wanted the life on land, and I needed to work with you and the kids so that we built a life for our family,
Mhm.
not this thing that I was learning about in all the podcasts and everything.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
So I needed to know that it was for our kids, and I needed to have not buy-in. I needed to include you guys in my dream because I knew that it was better on land. I just
Mhm.
didn't know how to get the buy-in from it. I'm a visionary, like that's my brain. And a lot of people that have that strength don't know how to have buy-in from their closest people.
Yeah.
Like we have it in our head. I'm like, it's in here. I just can't tell you how to do it. So
we became each other's people in that then.
Yeah.
Because there were no family members. They were like, you're a little crazy.
This is deep stuff. This is like it's trying to talk about it is deep. It's and a lot of the times Kelly and I talk, and I'm like, that's deeper than my brain can go.
I can't do this
like,
level of intensity.
You went deep there. So
and I'm like, I can't do it unless we go there.
I know. So like for me, my stuff is, if you have family that thinks that you're crazy, then you need to make sure that you're not on homestead rescue. You need to show them that, like, hey, Bo and Kelly, they're the weird paleo, family. So that, hey, Bo and Kelly, like Kelly cooks everything from scratch. Like, Bo, I tried to learn how to make bread in suburbia and I failed, but that would have proved to my family, hey, we make bread every single time that you see us. This is what we want to do. We buy raw milk. We bought raw milk. We did as much as we could in suburbia to show it.
You're saying you should fly your freak flag.
Well, no, I mean, it's just to so you kind of ease that ripping the Band-Aid off. So whenever we had the conversation, with your parents at the kitchen table.
Mm.
My parents were already mad. I love you, mom and dad, but y'all were not exactly happy about us moving, because we were like 30 minutes away and we moved away. So what I mean is, we had to assure our parents, like, hey, here's the plan. Like, have a plan if you're going to move.
Yeah.
Like, show financial stability. We had already shown our parents that, hey, we don't borrow money for buying a car. So you already will know that the finances are going to be strong.
But hold on.
A little debt.
Do you feel like you have to convince the people around you? Because I feel like my thought is more on, like, you've got to do the work. So things that you did were you put yourself in rooms with people doing what you wanted to do. So you started getting up every Saturday, but you went every Saturday early and talked to the guy who brought farm fresh eggs to the farmer's market, because you had to get there early.
I love you on that. I didn't learn a single thing from that dude. That dude was the worst communicator at all times.
No, but you stepped out of the grocery store to do the thing. That's the interrupting the habit. And then you went to the plant sales at the farmer's market. You went to Jack Spirko's events. Like,
that helped.
You took yourself out of these regular habits, and you built the belief in yourself that you could do this.
Sure. We also had some sort of like online income.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, being able to, so I think it's both.
Did you need to prove it to your people? Because I never felt like we needed to.
Of course I did. As a man, that you're sitting at a table with your in-laws, like, that you love, and they are second guessing the big adventure, the scary thing that you're doing as a man, as a son-in-law, as a father, as a husband. Oh yes, it is a beast that you got to leave the cave, and you better kill that thing and drag it home. You better not fail at all.
And as a third-born daughter of 4 children, as an army brat, as a theater degree child, I was like, no, this is my rebel yell, and this is what we're doing, and thank you for loving us through it, but I don't need your approval.
That's totally fine. Yes. So different. I did not need approval, but yet
you needed their buy-in.
I wanted to impress our parents.
That makes sense.
Is
it good or bad, do you think?
It's awesome. I don't know. That's me. I being completely transparent for you guys. When I get a thumbs up on a video, when I get comments that y'all are saying that
you like
that this helps, it's of course, who doesn't? Yeah. Who doesn't like that? Whenever it comes to your family. So maybe this. I don't think that they ever watch the channel. But
my mom does.
No, our parents do. I'm pretty sure that my parents are going to watch this. But like, building a property that your closest friends and family can have a space for, that helps fix the fact they think that you're crazy, because they thought that you were crazy, and then you overcame everything, and they're like, dang, can I have a gallon of milk to take home?
They don't want to live the life that we live. And I think that's really important, to hold space that we should not all look alike. Like, the world should not be uniform, and your little community should not be uniform. I'd even, on another video, suggest here's some great roles for each of you to play individually in this self-sustaining community you're going to come up with. But in our families, that was going to be my next question for you. I kind of want to answer questions first, but I want to come back to, how does your family feel now, especially in light of what we've shared with all of you about how that family felt before we moved here? So could we answer a couple questions and then come back with that?
Hold on.
Okay.
Bo's
okay.
I don't know. I'm just putting stuff out there. We went off the rails, but it was going good.
But that's because I don't usually.
So you don't follow the script.
I'm trying to use your leg as a lap.
That ain't gonna work.
It's working. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
All right. We're going to shout out to a couple of folks. CJ, super excited for a live show.
There.
That is very fun. I love the live show.
Let's get your finances in order. It says get your finances in order.
I was making
Go
this
for it.
more complicated. So, CJ, we're excited too. We want to do live shows as well. We're working on the podcast kind of secretly behind the scenes, and you'll see some of that coming up on YouTube more and more often.
I'm going to say this. There is a Better Together Homestead podcast channel there. That's all I'm saying.
I was actually saying that out loud. So thank you for saying that. YouTube is really creating space for us to produce our podcasts here. So we're working on that kind of silently under the scenes so that you guys can catch podcasts that are a lot more like this. And it actually is not much different than this. It just has better recording equipment. So yeah, thanks for being on here, CJ. Glad that you're loving it. So you've been wanting to get into homesteading for a few years now, Jules, but don't feel like you have the support. I hope this helps. I hope that this is a conversation that steers you in the right direction. I firmly believe that everyone who is doing this will find the community and the support that they're looking for. This is a wild and wonderful time to be alive for people who want to step outside the system that they really don't feel works for them. Stepping outside of the system is probably the most powerful thing that you can do for your mindset. Recognizing that since our childhood, we have, especially Bo and I'm about to be 40 in a couple weeks. Bo just turned 40 last year. And we've been really, I want to use the right words. We've been set up. We have been cultivated. We have been shaped, is probably the right word, since our childhood to perform certain duties that no longer are the most applicable for society. Like the jobs that we have. We run an essential oil business. We have sponsors and we have YouTube channels and we're working on podcasting and multiple streams of income. That was not a thing when we were young. When we were young, we were absolutely shaped to go to college and work within a system. And so the idea that you could step outside of that system and be successful at it and find other people who are perfectly happy stepping outside of the system is quite avant-garde, even for 2023. Like there's a lot of chatter about it, but there's not a lot of evidence that people are going to be super successful over time unless you step outside of American system and you see that the whole world is working like this quite successfully.
So here's a bullet point I want to talk about with Jules. You said you've been wanting to get into homesteading for years, but you don't have the support. One, you need to do it without support. And then I totally believe, I put this in my notes, it's kind of like you have to have the field of dreams opinion. If you build it, then they will come and support you. So it's a little bit of both. You got to do it by yourself. And then when you show success, then your support system will show up and my dad will start saying like, hey, can I come up there and help you build some fences?
Yes.
It was a little different in the beginning because I had to prove that I could do it.
We were each other's support as well.
Of course.
I think that's it too, is like, I would love to live in a world where this connectivity of the internet brings you best friends and you guys go homestead. Like that might not be Bo's dream where he's like, I don't like people. But when I think of that, I'm like, well, let's find your support system. So it's not something I can do for you, Jules, but I'm looking through these comments and I'm seeing from several different people who are saying the same thing. I feel like I'm on my own in this. That's why we're talking about this today, because whether you have a room full of people who love you so dearly, but they just don't get it, or you are legit struggling through your life in the city and you don't know how to find that path, start interrupting these thoughts, start interrupting this regular scheduled programming in your life and go outside on a walk. It sounds so dumb, but this is not just like your stupid walk for your mental health. This is, I am intentionally interrupting the regularly scheduled program in my life so that I can observe nature, so that I can be connected to tangible, tactile things that I can see, smell, and touch with my senses, and separate myself from all of the messaging that I'm getting about stay on the track, save for my retirement, make sure that I'm not saying these are bad things. You guys get me. I am saying there is a a path outside of the system that is absolutely good for a lot of people. I love that. Noah's family and all his friends thought he was insane till the rain came. Yeah, absolutely. There's so many layers. That's a whole podcast on its own. Thank you, Miss You Love. Absolutely.
So put that one. I didn't.
Yeah, let's go to this next one. So this is great encouragement. Keep dreaming. I moved 2 years ago. I remember dreaming for 5 years. Amen, sister. There is a lot of temptation to get on the internet, see what everybody's doing. I think I've shared this before, but I love 5 Chicks and a Farmer. Lindsay Kramer and her husband don't live far from us in Central Texas. And they just went to be farmers one day. They went to be farmers and they built their farm up. I remember seeing them going on vacation. We'd been here about 18 months. And I was like, we're never leaving. We're stuck here. We are prisoners to our homestead. And then she shared this in her same post. This vacation was 13 years in the making. It didn't mean that they'd never vacation. It just meant there's a lot you don't see before you finally see the tip of this iceberg that we share on the internet. Yes, keep dreaming and then begin doing as you dream. This is something that is built over time. And you may feel like you don't have a lot of time, but man, I don't want to waste any of the time that I've got. So I hope that you guys feel that exact same way. I love this, CJ. This is such a great conversation, guys. Yeah, they think you're crazy for wanting to do stuff. I love that her parents get it. That's maybe some unexpected support. You might have support from places you just didn't even imagine. This is so great, Ladies Farm. A great follow-up that you watch someone do this. And that's so amazing to save and work toward this goal. And there are going to be times like we've shared this. We had this trajectory. We'd done all the right things. We went to sell our house. We were all but having our house sold. The rug was straight up pulled out from under. The people pulled their offer out. They canceled the contract. It was not moving forward. And we're like, is this God closing a door? Not always. Sometimes maybe he is. But in our case, that absolutely wasn't it. And if we hadn't spent the time really working toward this goal, we might have felt like that was a hard pass. That was a no-go. And because we had worked toward this goal, because we pursued it continually, even after the house didn't sell, we sold it for more than we had expected to sell it the first time. We got out on our property. We had this great deal with getting our house ready so quickly. Every bit of things that you see is someone else's hard work paying off. You can work hard even if you don't see people doing the exact same thing. I absolutely feel like I have found my people in the comment section today. Thank you guys for being here. You are my people. I am going to be the one to cheerlead you and encourage you, and this is amazing. Listen to God first, not each other. Each other second. We are people. The Creator is not people. Absolutely. Like, keep the first things first. That's so important. Pray about this. If you're a praying person and you've not prayed about this is a good place to start. Interrupt your daily scheduled programming. Start praying about what God has for you. And then just trust that he's good. And that when you're following what he's saying, it's a healthy thing to be doing. I'm loving this as well. Remembering back, I think it was our channel that gave you the idea of doing a shed to house. Absolutely. And guess how many people we saw building shed to houses before we decided to do that? Yeah.
What?
There was no one
well, I mean, not before the Facebook group.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was different.
So
hey, if y'all can give a like,
yeah.
I saw a little like come up. I was like, hey,
That's awesome. Remember that.
Give us more of those. This helps.
So even that, our shed to house Facebook page has over 100,000 people in it. It had 0 people. I remember it's so fun when the OG people, like the first even 1,000 people will come and they'll comment. They're like, I was here at that time. I remember this. When we were all just trying to find our people because we were solo. We were crazy. There was no one. Even beyond that, I think our parents might have felt more secure if we were coming to our property and building a regular house.
Well, of course. Yes. We were doing something very bizarre. So
Very
it could be,
strange.
I want to live in a shed to house, but my family thinks that I'm
Yeah.
crazy. That's probably more accurate.
But what that shed to house brought us was A, community with all of you here on Facebook, and B, it gave us that income stream
Mhm.
that we needed to live together, work together on our
Well,
property.
not that it gave us the income stream, because
Absolutely did.
sure, I know, but they're not. That doesn't help them. It gave us a no debt. Like, we were
Mhm.
able to take what we had from our suburban home and apply it and be able to live in a home where we didn't have that 30-year
Mhm.
debt above us. Yes, there are some things, because we were content creators, and you can build a shed to house and
Mhm.
make a YouTube video, and you can make a little bit of money off of it for sure. But the biggest thing is that it is a lower cost of a home.
Mhm. Well, I love that because I think this is really cool. Robin Lana, Adventures of Robin Lana, saying, "We live in a bus, but we bought land and we're going to do a shed conversion on it."
Woo!
Fantastic. Live alternatively. Step outside of that trajectory. I am so sorry you lost chickens, and I wish that I loved chickens better, but I absolutely sympathize with losing animals because, yeah, it kind of surprises you how sad it is. And I just want to encourage you, like, this will not be the end of loss, but it will be the beginning of you valuing your animals even more deeply. Ollie said this to me the other day after we had a loss on the property. He goes, "Do you remember that time that we had a funeral for a blue jay?" And I was like, I do remember that. And that was the beginning of
Our
sympathizing.
kids want a funeral for every animal,
Uh-huh.
except the cardinal. That
Well, and I'm
died.
happy to give it because I think it helps them value
I
life
know.
for sure. So this is great as well. Small victories, lemon in your water, small positive change. I like lemon in my water. So let's have some lemon water together. I think that's fantastic. Um, I love that. Jules says you've been going to community events to meet people. I hope that this is helpful, guys. I hope that that we're not the be all end all say of anything, but we have been through a lot of what you guys are thinking through already. I want to pause on this one because I think this is so valuable. I have all the feels. I'm probably ovulating. That's why. Uh, but when you say,
What?
doesn't he love to have these conversations with me because he never knows what I'll say? Here's why I feel emotional about homeschooling. The greatest gift I think that you can give your kids is time. And so right now, the idea of homeschooling feeling crazy, the idea of homesteading feeling crazy, the idea of an alternative house, shed to house living, whatever, if it doesn't make you question whether it's valuable, then he's just going to keep staring at you. Then it probably isn't going to be successful when things get hard, and things do get hard. But to homeschool your kids and look in the face of whether or not this is valuable or not, whether or not you're crazy and shouldn't do this, it's worth pressing into and asking. Homesteading is worth pressing into and asking, not am I made of this stuff that's going to make it successful, but can I weather storms so that the outcome, like your homeschooling, is about you and your own transformation and mindset toward what education even is. Is education standardized testing? Is living in the city your ultimate goal? Like, this same kind of questioning can be applied to all the areas of life that are big and hairy and scary in front of you. And you can look at them not having all the answers, but still enter into that new step of life. Like, if we had never done this, if we'd never started a garden in our backyard, we had zero friends who were gardening. And I'm not saying no one gardens across the planet, but we didn't know anyone who was gardening. Our parents never gardened. No one taught us to can except the internet. Like, do the things, because those are the things that are worth it in the end. At the end of the days, you can say I had no regrets because I didn't try that thing that sounded scary and weird and made me question whether I was sane or not. There's a lot of insane things when it comes to homesteading. And I love that about homeschooling because it's a absolutely, it's not for everyone. Homesteading's not for everyone, but it's something that's absolutely valuable, and it's going to play out in the generations to come. Your homesteading is going to play out in the generations to come. People are watching you, and some of them are watching you waiting for you to fail. But some of them are going to make their own life changes because you were bold enough to do it for you. So I think that that's absolutely critical to do, yeah, this right here. Taking the steps, doing this. Absolutely, you will. I haven't seen anyone who wanted to homestead with actual earnest effort, meaning they're making the changes we talked about today. I've never seen someone do that and not be successful at it. You can do this. You will do this. And you've seen all of these people who are sharing their stories or sharing their encouragement with you online because we want that same thing for you. We believe that you guys can do this. We want that for you. And we don't want any secrets behind a door keeping you from having the access to the tools that you need. So absolutely shift your mindset. That's the biggest boulder, I think, in the change from city and suburbs to the homestead. Have you gotten over your emotions? Okay. So then I'm going to go ahead and close this out for you guys.
I can't go back.
I love this. You attract your tribe. That's so good. And so true. Like, yeah. See, we've got the feelers here today, guys. Thanks for being here. I love it. Lots of praying through what you guys are up against or what's in front of you. But I think that this is hopefully helpful transparency. One question that I have for Bo is, how does your family feel now? And I hope this is like the final encouragement is, their family that we absolutely sat down with and they were like, you're crazy, or this is nice for you, enjoy your time. But between your side and my side.
So your parents love to come here and have so much fun now. Your mom always really, I mean, once we got it, like she was a big supporter once she saw the house here and like just saw the passion. Passion's gonna really do it. Like you just gotta buy yourself in and be confident. And my parents absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, my mom loves to bring us food and cook, and she and every single time my parents come up, I send a gallon of our Jersey raw milk home with my mom.
She asks for it.
Oh, she like it's more of like demands it. She's like, you're gonna have milk for me, right? Like she loves it. She loves getting in the garden with the girls. She loves going on walks. I mean, and that now that we have the pond, it's just super cool. It's scary, the whole shed to house, raw land. But like I said, if you build it, people will start coming and believing in it, and you'll have more support. So it's great.
I was thinking about like our friends. We have friends who say like, your house is our happy place. I have family members, my nieces, my nephews. Like when I'm talking about what you're building is not just for you, it's for who's watching you, it's for what's to come. I have a niece who's like, hey, I have a senior project due. Can I come out and live with you for 2 weeks and learn about what you do? Like, what? That's amazing. And that family was never doubting. They were always in our corner. But to be able to get out of the rat race, to step out of line and do something a little different is a gift to the people around you as well. And I think that you're not doing it to perform or to get them excited and so that they'll live the same life. I think we have been in seasons where we hoped and wished that people would also want to come live on our acreage and build their own little houses, but we're not living it for them. We're just living it and they're watching it, and they also get to enjoy it because we also believed for a long time that we're blessed to bless others. Like everything that we've been given is not just for us, but it's for others as well. So that's been so sweet to have family who some were really not sure how this was going to work out, and others who've loved us through all of the hard things, losing animals, finding our friends here, creating community, the things that were challenging, and they were always in our court. That's been great to share every win with them as well.
I'll say this. Things got a lot more. We got a lot more support once this studio was built.
Yeah, that's true. When we had a place.
If you have a place for your
Yeah.
friends and your family to come and actually stay,
that's icing.
It really people start flowing in and then want to be able to spend you know, like our niece. She knows that she can come here for 2 weeks because she has her own space. She's 18 years old. She has a space that she can do this. So not saying that that's for everyone, but it could be an income stream. You could put a little shed or some sort of tiny house, an Airstream on Airbnb. But so that helps a ton. I'm going to put that link. So segue to that. You can build your shed right there. Yes, wrap it up. What do you need?
Yeah, I think that's actually a pretty good segue. We've got a video coming out soon about our shed to house that we just went and visited. Tons of fun to get to see what years of work results in and how it impacts people around you. I'm excited to share that with you guys. And just love chatting with you. This is one of our most active chats, and this has been really cool. I hope you guys have noticed each other here and have been able to see like, hey, I'm not alone in this. And sometimes not being alone in hard things helps set you up so that you're not alone in really great things and you have those cheerleaders in your circle. So hopefully you're finding your cheerleaders here. You've got them in us for sure. And I hope this was a blessing to you on the middle of your Thursday afternoon.
All right. We'll see y'all next one.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.